Limited in Sofia, Bulgaria, Nenad leads the development of Paramount Gardens, a visionary residential project emphasizing sustainable construction and energy efficiency. Simultaneously, his role as the owner and operator of Tricot SRL in Toscana, Italy, underscores his adeptness in managing manufacturing operations and expanding market presence across Europe. During his tenure as regional manager at Darmis Limited, Nenad demonstrated exemplary leadership in overseeing multiple residential projects, ensuring their timely completion while exceeding quality standards. His journey from a sales rep at Angel East Europe to an esteemed entrepreneur attests to his relentless pursuit of excellence and innovation. Ninad holds a MBA from University of National and World Economy, Sofia, Bulgaria, complemented by a Masters of Law from New Bulgarian University. Currently pursuing a Doctor of Business Administration with a focus on sustainable development in real residential estate at Uni Athena, Ninad epitomizes a dedication to continuous learning and professional growth. With specialization in finance, business strategy, and leadership, Ninad brings a strategic and multidisciplinary approach to his endeavors, driving organizational success and fostering innovation. Ninad's diverse skill set encompasses real estate development, sustainable construction, project management, and textile manufacturing, augmented by his proficiencies in sales and marketing and energy efficiency. Fluent in Bulgarian, Macedonian, Siberian, English, and Italian, and a mid level proficiency in Hebrew, Spanish, and Russian, Ninad possesses a global perspective that enriches his professional engagements. Join us as we delve into the transformative journey where Ninad's wealth of experience and visionary leadership promise to inspire and ignite meaningful discourse on the future of real estate development and sustainable business practices. We welcome you for the session, Ninad. Thank you so much for agreeing to be a part of this.
Thank you, Dr. Roman.
Yeah.
It's my pleasure.
So let's get started. Let's try and understand what exactly revolves around sustainable living and sustainability, the word sustainability around the real estate industry as such. So what does sustainability mean in the context of real estate, and why is it important for homeowners, developers, and communities as such? What is this hype around sustainability in real estate altogether?
So basically, real estate sector is responsible for something like 40% of the carbon emissions in the air. So it's probably one of the most important sectors in the world that needs to be examined, regulated in a different way. The legislative actually now is changing around the world in this subject a lot, especially in the European Union and the developed country. This is a main subject in this in our day of time. I hope that nobody here from the panelists are disagreeing that the global warming is existing. Guys, it is existing, it's a fact. We're seeing it, proofs enough, so we can just, put this on a side and let's see what is the solution and what we can do as modern people in order to change the future for our children, our grandchildren, and so on. So basically, the property development now in the 21st century, it's just few years that actually thinks greener, let's say like that. And we are starting to use recycled materials. We are starting to use renewable sources for energy in order to, we will get to the point to cut our bills, but in order to use what we can use from the nature without hurting the nature and actually make commodities and comfortability for us and for the family, for the people that we love. But this is a very new subject. This is why I chose it for my doctorate degree, because I can tell you that at this moment, I know few developers in West Europe, in Germany, that did few buildings like that, and it was a struggle for them. It was a nightmare in order to do it. The idea is one thing, and after that, to actually from idea to accomplishment to do it, it's a completely different story. What we face is we as modern people, we want to do it. We want to do it right, but we face with lack of experts in the area. We face with everyday changes in the legislatives, in the regulation policies in different countries. I mean, this is every day. It's something that you can just not predict well. We face with lack of materials. There are materials if you want to build, let's say, a house. But at this moment, I'm doing a 45,000 square meters project here in Sofia, in Bulgaria. And to use the materials that I want to use, it's a nightmare. And plus, there is a lack of it. It's simple as that. And if you want to do it right, you need to import a lot. And this actually increases costs. And to a level that we are in a business that we need to think about the costs as well, because this is connected to the sales price. So there is, because of this, an issue that you need to have something like contingency, even a bigger percentage. You know, in my area, something like 5 until 7% of contingency is something that it's expected. But when you put 15% contingency, it's a completely different story. And you must, because in the end of the day, you don't know in the next 3, 4, 5 years of the development what exactly the end cost is going to be. So you must predict it. You must put a contingency that it's, you know, higher, and this affects the selling price. And beside that, the contingency, these materials that you want to use, the recycled materials, I hope everybody understands that somebody needs to, this is something that was used and after that collected, reused and reproduced again, so it can be used again. So this costs more than just to buy a new material from the shop. In the end of the day, I think that it's worth it. We are managing, but there is a lot to go. The field has a lot of gaps that needs to be filled, and of course, with every gap there is an opportunity. And I think that, but it's very new. It's very new, and I hope that in your respective countries you understand why green developers are selling on bigger prices. It's not because we want it. It's I mean, we want to sell more, but it's not actually that we make more. In the end of the day, we don't make more than the other developers. In that subject, I can say that in Bulgaria, we are the first project like that. I understand the other developers why they don't do it. There are a few of the companies, big companies here, that are trying to market their products like the green product. But for example, they put solar panels on the roof and they're marketing, look, we're doing a green product. But you know, in sustainability, there are a few issues. It's not only about the products that you're using, it's also the social factor. It's the ACG in total, it needs to be taken care of. It's about the social groups that you're going to use during the construction, the gender equality, the race is also important. I can tell you on this subject, by the way, something that maybe interesting for me. It's interesting. My whole leadership team, it's made by women, and it's not something that I chose on purpose. It's just, this is how it turns out during the years. This is the team: my head engineer, my head of marketing, my head of sales. They're women. I didn't choose them because they're women. I really chose them because they are the best from the field, from the best people that I could have chosen. But so equal pay, it's of course part of it. But in our case, the main focus is on the green construction, the materials that you're using. But on the company, on the business that I'm doing in several sectors, we're now focusing on property development. really trying to use all the ACG points. And I think that this is right. This is how we should think in order to develop and to show ourselves that we grown as a human race. So taking the factor of the global warming basically is the carbon emissions. And the only way for this to be reduced is to reuse the materials that can be reused in order to use the development and to use the renewable sources. I don't know if you're familiar. Everybody's familiar with the solar panels, but I will just mention it. For example, in my buildings, because we cannot use the land for solar panels, it's considered as electricity structure, so it's not safe because it's a residential complex. If it was, for example, something like industrial zone or warehouses, we could have put part of the land according to Bulgarian legislative and use it on the south part and use it for this. But for residential, this is not possible. So we can use only the roof. Using the roof, we can decide to go on two ways. For example, we can use these solar panels in order to charge the common parts of the complex, also the garden parts and all of these things. Or you can use it and to direct the energy to units, to separate units. This is what we chose. So what we are doing is the last two floors of the building. Our project is something like, because it's a big project, there are buildings that are up to 6 floors, but there are buildings that are up to 10 floors. So basically, the last two floors of the project, the units there will be connected with solar panels, in which, for let's say the smaller apartments, the one-bedroom apartments, we will give something like 5 kilowatt per hour electricity. And for the bigger ones, depending, so 7, 8, 10, and we have also 20 kilowatts for, let's say, the penthouses, the big apartments that are around, I speak in meters, I don't speak in foods, I hope you guys understand me. But let's say we have apartments from around 50 square meters up to 300 square meters, and depending on the size, we relocate the energy that they will probably need. With this, we're not joking ourselves that the apartment is not going to need electricity, but the utilities bills are going to be significantly decreased, because with the batteries, and now the batteries have 10 years guarantees, by the way, and it's increasing. And every year, the solar panels, the technology is growing, so the production of electricity is growing and growing and growing. So basically, we are hoping until the project is finished that we can actually increase 10% more on what we are promising now to clients. And it seems reasonable. This is how it goes. But let's say we will decrease the energy something like 50%. With the batteries, you can use this electricity at night because you store it. During the day, the sun is producing it. Bulgaria has something like, let's say, 11 months in the year. It has sun. I'm very jealous for the countries, like the warm countries in the world, that they can, produce it 12 months. And so they can do magnificent things over there. But still, we have our climate. It's giving us in the summer more, in the winter less. But let's say we can make the utility bills 50% less for these apartments per month, which is great. I mean, you can use it at night to turn off your TV, to cook something, the air condition to work. It's amazing. I mean, it's something that really works. And the system now allows us to have a direct connection to the grid, to the electricity grid. So we're not selling the electricity, because this is also a possibility to sell the electricity to the utility company. No, we're just giving it to the apartment, and the apartment has 2 meters for the electricity. It's called the red and the green one here in Bulgaria. The green one is the one that you're using from the sun. After the battery is emptied, so you're not using the electricity from the solar panel, automatically, without the household even notice it, it's connected to the red meter, in which moment you're starting using the electricity from the utility company. So basically, the household is not noticing this change. You just have electricity. in the end, you're noticing on the bill, and on the bill, you have the information for the kilowatts that you use from the green, the kilowatts you used from the red, and in the end, you have the bill. Now, the other way that you can use the utility, the nature for this is geothermal energy, which for me personally becomes very interesting. A very small amount of companies are using it here in East Europe, and we do have it. We do have it as a technology, but I can tell you that it's only one company here, for example, in Bulgaria, that it's working it, and they're not that busy. So I'm telling you, it's still new, but geothermal energy is giving you the opportunity to use the energy from the earth itself. So basically, you dig a hole on a pipe. It's, for example, for my project, the land is something like 14,000 square meters. You need something like 150 pipes down. So even if one it's clogged or it's not working, it's basically something that it's you have it for the next 300 years. There is nothing to think about. This gives you a heat from the earth core that goes directly from this pipe that are basically, I'm telling you again, a commodity that you don't need to fix it. You don't need to maintain it. The pipes, it's not an issue. You have 150. It's not an issue at all. The systems that are for maintenance are actually into the underground levels of what you're building. So they are accessible, no worries. And basically this connected with heat pumps. This is another system that it's very nice to be used, and it's very general now, especially in Europe. This connected with this, you have the energy, you have the pump that it's using it. You're killing your utility bill up to 70 or 80%, which is a commodity comfort because the heat pumps are using the water, circulating the water, so there is no dry air, not like an air condition. The system of the heat pump is basically more or less it works like an air condition, but it works on the water. So basically, the radiators and they're connected with the floor heating. It's on the water segment, so you basically warm water, no dry air. Amazing commodity and comfort, especially for a residential building. And now with the systems that are developing on a daily basis, literally. Before, I remember a few years ago, one heat pump, in order to install it, you needed to have something like 1.5 meters one square meter and a half in your house in order just to store it somewhere, because it goes with two boilers and the heat pump itself, and plus there is a segment, a body that you need to put outside. So it was completely different. But now they look like maybe half of the refrigerator. You don't need the new ones, especially. You don't need an exterior, a body that it's for outside. So, and it gives you everything that you need. So it's great. By the way, in Bulgaria, the gas now, it's not considered as a green energy source. And this happened from the 1st of January 24. Every developer here is still struggling with the fact that you cannot get energy efficiency of your building if it's connected with the gas. You need to have the heat pumps, you need to have the renewable energy source somehow, and you need to show this also with the building materials, especially with the insulation, that you're going to keep the energy inside. When it's warm, when it's cold, to keep it warm inside. So basically, a lot of developers are struggling with that now. But this is going to be a fact from 2028. It's a decision from the European Committee for the whole European Union. Every development needs to be with zero emissions in the air. So there is a way to go. But this directive and this legislation are actually, well, they are putting us out of our comfort zone, I must tell you. but they gave us a very small time frame in order to make the changes, which make us think. And now the sectors, there are a lot of companies that are struggling, but also there are a lot of companies that are looking for solutions, and there are now factories that are basically every day there is a announcement of some factory that it's producing something from a recyclable material. I don't know, there are different ways. They started now producing for, especially for exterior use, from plastic bottles, ceramics that you can use in gardens, and they really look nice. I mean, if I show you samples from that, what they did, they really look nice, and this will solve a lot of things. Now, also from that part, from our project especially, Sofia as a city has a very big issue. It was an issue. Now for me, it's not an issue, but it is an issue, the underground water. We have underground water on 3 meters from the soil. So now when we're digging, of course, you're digging much more because you have underground level for the parking. So this is something that it's a price issue, but we are used to it here. We are doing it. But now this water, we are basically filtering it, and this is what we are using in order to water the gardens. So we are not going to use, and of course, rainwater that it's going to be collected, but it's not London. It's not that much air. I mean, rain. So, but we have the underground water that we can use. So
Wow, Ninad, that was a very in detailed
and boring,
diving
right?
it that no, it's really intriguing and interesting for specifically someone like me who's very new to this topic, but the kind of pointers that you have brought into picture is something that is mind boggling, and it makes a person think. So Ninad, as a person who doesn't know much about sustainability in the real estate industry as such, I would like to ask, how are there any other alternatives available for incorporating sustainable features in somebody's home apart from the energy constraint that they can use? They can use solar panels to conserve the energy on that matter. But apart from that, are there any other options available for first time homeowners or real estate developers who can incorporate different aspects of sustainable features in their projects?
Of course, what I will suggest to anybody that it's listening us now, no matter if you're a new homeowner or you already have your home, you like it, and you want to stay there, what I would suggest is smart systems. Use them. They are really helping in order. I know that there is an investment from the start, but these smart systems are actually helping you after that to save money, to reduce the carbon exposure in the air, but also they're saving you money on the utility bill. And I will explain how. For example, the smart system can be now directed from your phone. So the heating can start when it needs to be start. Up to some temperature, it can stop, it can reduce, it can level itself in the ways that it can reduce your cost, but not damage your comfort, let's say. So this is something that I would do first. Second, I would use, for example, I don't know, if you're living in a house, especially, I would use the roof, of course, for solar panels. But if you cannot, depending in what country you live, even the color of the house can help you in order to save and to save, but to have more. This is basically what is the green construction. It's about an investment that you do now, because it is an investment, but in order to save, but not to save to discomfort you, to live worse. The opposite, you actually will live better. the comfort is going to be higher. You will love it. It's just something that everybody needs to know, that there is an investment in the start, and the times are coming, guys, that it will be obligatory for everybody. This is where the world is going. But please consider rainwater harvesting systems if you have a house. Consider so-called living walls, green roofs. It can really improve your air quality on the place that you live. Consider, we call it, I don't know if it's with the English, it's right, but I think it is recuperators. It's a system that you can use. And now there are very, very interesting ones, smaller. It's not only for the hotels, but also we are using it for our project as well, and in the bedrooms, but you can use it for the whole apartment, in which the system actually is taking a fresh air from outside, taking your air from inside, circulating it in the way that the temperature inside your house is not changing, but you have a fresh air all the time without opening doors. And this saves your heating or cooling systems a lot. So this also goes into your utility bill, but you sleep
The
like a
problem of
baby.
cross ventilation in a house is totally solved with this particular system altogether.
Absolutely. And it's in Bulgarian, here it's something like 600 euro. It's nothing, and you sleep like a baby. You put it in your bedroom, you have a fresh air all night.
Yeah.
And there is something like the smell out of the bedroom is out. You don't have it anymore. Because our human bodies, when we sleep, we release smell. You don't have it with this system. And you sleep like on a fresh air, but on a warm environment. The temperature is what you decided to be when you went into the room, and this is how it stays. But you have 200 circulations in 24 hours on the air, which sleep is very important also.
True that. So what is the cost aspect that we look at when we become so vigilant about sustainable living? What is the upfront cost as a homeowner or as a real estate developer that we are looking at? And how do these costs that we incur today turn out as an investment for the future?
Okay, so basically, you need to expect to pay more. We call it the green edge. It's something like 20% more on the price. But in few years, this will change. First of all, because of the production, it's not going to be an issue anymore. People are going to work on this, and we are going to solve it. Human race is very resilient. We find solutions. We just need time. But in the end of the day, every country has plastics. Every country has demolished buildings. We can use a lot of materials, ceramics, and all of these things. And now this is entering as a sector, so it will reduce the costs in the future. But for now, this 20% is something that you must put into your account, and this is the minimum, because after that, if you use, for example, I don't know, more advanced, let's say, smart systems, you want also on the heat pumps, there is different pricing. I think the 20% to put into the account that it will cost more, it's something very reasonable. And this is included, by the way, the solar panels on the roof. It's included the heat pumps and the floor heating, includes the recuperators, the circulation system that I explained. It includes ceramics that are, let's say, 40 to 50% used from recycled materials, nice insulation. We use here insulation, for example, in our building, that it's for category A. It costed, like, from the other one that we are using, something like, I mean, nothing. I will not tell you the price. It really is nothing measurable in order to put it. The other system, they do cost. Basically, what it costs now more, it's the import and the lack of experts. This is the issue. This will change. We will become experts in the area. I'm telling you, if I build, for example, this complex, in 5 to 7 years, we need to be finished. We will have the knowledge for the next one. We will know from where, how, and all of these things. And until that time, also the legislation now, how it's changing, and the people are now working, new factories, things. In 5 years, everything will be different. But paying 20% more in order to save the utility bills, minimum 40%, on the utility bills only, and to increase your comfort, to better your sleep, to do for yourself that you did something good, you gave back to the nature, to feel yourself like I'm an intelligent person. I think not only about my next 5 years, but I think about me, about my children, about the future, and all of these things gives you all edges that you need in life.
So Ninad, would you like there are many questions cropping in the Q&A section in context of the kind of insulation that you are talking about right now. So are there any specific products available that you can suggest to our attendees that they can think of purchasing in their own country? Because every country does have a different kind of environment, climate. So is there any specification as such that they need to look after when they are buying this insulation?
What I would do is depending on the what country are you from. For example, when you're from a warm country, you don't need insulation at all. So I'm talking about the heat insulation, not water insulation. Okay, the hydro isolation is completely different. This is not what I mentioned before. I'm sorry, I was probably not specific. I'm talking about the heat insulation here in Bulgaria. We have the 4 seasons in the year, so for us it's very important in the summer to keep the cooling in the apartment, and for the winter, for example, these few days was -10. So we do need the heat insulation on the buildings, and there are a lot of ones that you can use. I'm sorry, guys. In English, I probably cannot say the names. It's very easy to look at it on internet. I'm very sorry. I know the names in Bulgarian, all the systems, but I don't know them in English. I came unprepared on that question. Sorry, Dr. Roman.
Not an issue at all, Ninad, but your input on the kind of products available, that itself gets us intrigued, and we can definitely, Google has all the answers for us.
What I would suggest to our panelists, if you're building a house, think about 2 systems, geothermal energy, just do it. Just do it. It's here in Bulgaria. This is going to, on the build-up area, going to increase the price something like 50 euro per square meter. So, for example, if you're doing a house that it's, let's say, around 300 square meters, right? 300 square meters, it's around 15,000 euro that you will pay for the geothermal energy. Put the solar panels, they cost really nothing. For example, in order to do a 300 square meters of a house, all of it, you can put 20 kilowatts on it. So probably it's going to be like 20,000 euro investment. After that, in 10 years, you're returning this money just like that. And the comfort, unimaginable.
True. My next question to you, Ninad, is you have been in the real estate sector for so long. So, how does the local building codes or regulations influence the adoption of sustainable practices in the real estate development? Are there any policy changes that you face, or are there any incentives that the government of different countries that they can provide to improve or promote sustainability in this sector?
Yeah. These changes in the regulations, as I mentioned before, they are every day. It's something that very frustrating for us as a sector. For example, we are united here in Bulgaria. We have an association of the property developers. We cannot affect any of the decisions of the government. It just goes on autopilot. It's directed from the European Union. So we are trying now actually to connect and to work with European companies all around the world. We are very successful, by the way, in that, because nobody's asking us. Nobody's asking the developers how it's going. They're just changing it. We know that it's important. I mean, we are intelligent people working in our separate countries. We know that it's important, but we also think that this kind of change happens in the way that nobody's asking us how to happen, and the lack of experts and the lack of materials, and they just wanting it from us. If you want a Class A efficiency building, you need to do this, and this, and we cannot do it. And this increases the price in the end for the end buyer. So there is a product that has its value. This is how much it costs to be produced. And in the end, somebody needs to agree to pay for this product in order for us to develop it. This is how it goes. We were surprised in 3 months only. So it was September, November, and December for us to wake up with a new legislative here in Bulgaria from January 24, with all of these changes that now we need to apply. And
How does the
it was
costing factor when you start a project or a particular plan altogether? There's costing involved for that particular project. So how do you incorporate the changes in costing factors that creep in? Because already, as a person who's of numbers, I know that you do keep a certain percentage aside for any kind of contingency, because real
contingency.
estate
Yeah.
always has inflation cost attached to it, because this is not something that you complete it over a year. It does spread across a few years time period.
Sure.
So when these kind of changes come across because of changes in regulation, how do you incorporate that in your costing possibilities? Or basically, if I reframe, how do you incorporate this in your budgeting?
Yeah. Well, we, especially everybody that wants to construct in the way that we are doing it now in the country, and I'm telling you, we are the only ones that are doing it, especially on this level. We are trying to make the calculations according to the information that we have. So we are looking for the products. We are trying to make preliminary agreements with companies that are producing this kind of products. So we are fighting in order to get the best prices and all of these things. So we are putting into the budget, because for us, the budget is very important to be as accurate as possible. But you're completely right. We have, for example, for my project, probably 7 years in order to be developed. So before we were putting between 5 and 7%, depending on the size of the project contingency. Now we're 15, and this goes on to the price. And we have something like a name. We named it. We call it the green edge, which, if you, for example, buy a building next to mine, the product, it's going to be cheaper. I mean, you can buy it cheaper. If you buy it from our company, you're going to pay more, and there is a reason for it, I'm telling you. And also this green age is a reason for it. And you are just forced because of the situation today, but this will change in a few years. But today, you're just forced to just increase your contingency, double. And probably we're going to spend it because you don't know. You don't know how much exactly the experts are going to cost you.
Yeah.
You don't know if some of the countries that you're importing during these years, they're going to change some legislative. So, for example, you need to pay more for taxes, for the product, to gain the product might increase during these years, which will. I mean, there is an inflation. It's existing. We saw it. We were living like this few years now everywhere in the world. But I'm telling you, probably does not sound professional, but we just put double the contingency. This is the only way to go. You can just not calculate it. Before it was easy.
And I believe it's also a concept of demand and supply. Today, you do not have many suppliers in the field of sustainable development and
Exactly.
people providing products for sustainable living. I guess 5 years down the lane, you will have the number of people would have increased in this particular area, and hereby reducing the cost. If we can take the example of battery operated cars, it was a fantasy for quite a time back, but now it's become a day-to-day acquiring thing in everybody's life today. Everybody is moving on from a fuel operated car to a battery operated.
Absolutely. In our project, we're the only ones in Bulgaria that actually have it incorporated in our garages. There is going to be stations for every garage separately that will have between 7 and 8 kilowatts per hour electricity, especially for charging electric cars. So this is basically why we are succeeding now in the market, because we are the only ones, and we have. If you want to buy this kind of a project, this is it. There is no other place.
So
Plus the gorgeous view to the mountain.
when you do look at the trend of how exactly the home buyers are purchasing their new houses, do you find that there's an increase in the trend for people turning towards sustainable living or buying eco-friendly homes as such? Is it
Yeah,
affordable for normal people as such, or this is something that the premium class of the society looks at?
I must be honest and say from middle class above. But basically, our clients are young people between 30 and 40 with families, young people with families that really care about this kind of product. This is what they want to buy. This is how they want to live. They want the new technologies incorporated, and they're coming. But from a price perspective, not everybody can afford
Yeah.
it at this time. The interesting thing, by the way, it might be, especially for this discussion, I don't want to sound political, but I must say it. We have the legislation for the property developers here in Bulgaria to follow these rules if you want category A energy efficiency building, but the
Mhm.
government is not following it itself. So what they are producing, what they're doing, what they're developing, they just don't do it. They don't do anything from this technology. So it's something like hypocritical,
All right.
if you
So,
ask me.
what role do you feel that, what role do these different kind of technologies that are available, what role does it have to contribute towards the creation of vibrant and environmentally conscious communities? Do you feel that these kind of new products and technologies that are being brought in, like the insulation system that you just spoke about, it is in a way creating a very important role in creating a conscious community, or do you feel that we are still away from being a very conscious community at large?
I think that the young people are pretty much interested in these technologies and the nature itself. They care more than the generations before us. Really, they do care. So when you have this kind of a product and your comfort actually is increased so many ways.
Mhm.
You pay less for the electricity, you sleep better, you have a very nice air into your house, it's not dry. You have a perfect view, and your temperature, it's maintained in the way that you want to be maintained. Everything around you works on your command, voice commands. And this, especially for the millennials, for young generation, this is now, from my opinion, a must.
True. So, Ninad, moving on, how does the concept of sustainability extend beyond individual properties to encompass urban planning and development? And what are the strategies that cities and countries can employ to promote sustainability or sustainable growth and reduce environmental impact?
Okay, so I can speak about the country that I'm in.
Mhm.
The government needs, first of all, to lead with example, which they're basically not doing. They're imposing laws to everybody else. We are going to figure it out, and in a few years, all the problems that I mentioned before are going to be solved. But leading by example from the government, it's very important. Second, it would be nice if, for example, there are some in the university or whatever it is, courses encouraged by the government, and after that from the private people, for experts in the area to see how, when, and also this kind of reusable materials for the factories, to just direct them in from where they can gather the materials cheaper, in a more easier form, what to produce exactly, maybe some uh, grants in order for this kind of factories to develop in some areas where you have this kind of waste that you can after that reuse for not only for construction. I mean, there are a lot of areas that also for clothes. As you know, everybody wants new clothes, but We can recycle also clothes. Now this is a very modern thing, especially in Italy and in France. Here it's not existing at all. So basically the encouragement to invest into the knowledge, important, encouragement into bringing experts and products here in the country. Let's help somebody that is producing something and knows this area well to open a factory here. We also have waste that he can use. We can, let's say, give them the land in, I don't know where, next to this kind of waste for cheaper costs, so they can do it. There is people that, they can be schooled before that in order to work in this kind of places and all of these things. So from my point of view, if you change the legislative and the regulations, you need to think a little bit long term, and you need to prepare yourself for this kind of changes, not just making a change and after
Also,
that
to
you
add
forget
on
about
to
it.
that, I believe a lot of awareness, if it can be brought in from a very young age, specifically if it's included in the curriculum
Exactly.
of schools and colleges, that can add to a lot of value in how exactly these sustainable livings can be converted around. So, to
Absolutely,
add
from young age.
very young age. So to just add on to that, there are many builders, or there are many real estate developers who say that they are into sustainable living. They promote sustainable living. Their projects are eco-friendly as such. But are there any specific standards or any certifications that people should look out for, rather, to just ensure that what they are saying is actually what is happening, and their homes are actually eco-friendly? Because comparatively, as you said, that people buying eco-friendly homes and sustainable homes end up paying a way more than a normal home as such. So are there any certifications, or are there any standards that one should look after to?
Of course. Also, there are certifications that you can do, that you can get from international organizations, especially for sustainability, property development, and all of these things. But I'm telling you, as a businessman, we are trying to follow the law here. And what they did now is you don't need a certification. After January 24, the regulation, in order to have a Class A efficiency building, energy efficiency building, you need to follow certain rules. Gas is out of the question. So solar panels, renewable energy is now a must. So solar panels, geothermic, wind, of course, we don't use wind, but in some places, probably they're using it, depending where the country, from what country and what is the location, especially. But basically, this new regulation that it's in Bulgaria from January this year, 1 month ago, you don't need the certification. This is the certification. If you want Class A, this is it. You need to follow all of these rules. This is the sustainability project, the property development project. I mean, this is how they did it.
That means the government and the policies that they frame in plays a major role in ensuring that the sustainability is kept in place and is pulled into the system in a very, very smooth manner. Because I don't think without that it will be easy for countries like India. If I talk about, it will be very difficult for us to incorporate practices in place unless and until the government takes the initiative and put things into places.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Ninad, I am now speaking on behalf of our attendees, and we have few questions for you. The first one says, what are the main challenges that you have faced as a real estate developer in implementing sustainable practices? A. And how can industry stakeholders collaborate to overcome these obstacles? What opportunities exist for innovation and growth in the sustainable of real estate sector? I guess that's three questions clubbed into one.
Let's do it one by one. The
Yeah.
first one, I will tell you something that I didn't tell to my employees, my team here, is that when we started the new project, I was very scared. It was the first to be done in that way. Before that, I did my homework, and I found out that it's going to be very difficult to do it. But the location itself, with this beautiful view to the mountain, the whole mountain, and no development can be arise before it, and the river in front of it, gave me an opportunity to risk it a little bit and to do something that it's considered in our sector dangerous. We're already known in the market as a company, so we could have just done a project, sell it, and go out. So when we started to plan it, the regulation was not still enforced. We knew about the 2028, the European Committee, but we didn't know what will happen in Bulgaria between then. We thought that it's going to happen in 2028. Here, they just did it in 3 months. They put the European flag on the laws and they passed it, and that was it. It turned out in the end that the decision that I made, actually, we made it as a group because we had long conversations about that, if you can imagine. Turned out good because in the end, we are the only project like that. So anybody that wants to buy something like that just goes in that directive. But the price is really 20% more than everything around the area. What was the second question?
The second question was how can industry stakeholders collaborate to overcome these obstacles?
The government is very important in this situation. The government needs to navigate it, to encourage these kind of things. We are now in the situation that we are encouraged because of this change of the laws. But imagine if it was something like more prepared. We have people, grants, studies in the university, subjects in that area, some professionals to come out and to know something about the subject. I mean, it would have been much better. So we are going to solve it, but it will take longer than
I think
I
it'll
must say.
be one step at a time. We start
Yeah,
project.
we do taking it one step at a time.
Yeah.
This is how it goes.
Yes.
We're basically in our field, real estate. It's not from yesterday.
True.
This happens when we came out of the caves and we started to live somewhere, us as human beings.
And
So
it's also
basically,
slow and gradual development as well. We lived in thatched huts at one point of time, and now we are living in a cement and a brick constructed house. So
yeah,
it's slow and gradual. It has to be move in its own pace.
yeah, but up to, let's say, 2-3 years ago, there was nothing to learn in the subject. I mean, just you have the materials here next door. You have the experts. You put just an advertisement that you want somebody to work in that area. Wow, 100 people at the door, no problem. Engineers, million, and all of these things. And now, from the comfort zone of a property developer, we come out to a completely new reality. We are facing it, and we just need to adapt. That's it. We are adapting.
And I think COVID had a very important aspect and it played a very crucial role into it because it kind of shook us all into our senses and brought us back to the reality. And I guess that is when this trend of sustainable living and opting for a healthy lifestyle shifted its gears.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What I would like to use this opportunity is to address the sustainability not only in the property development, but to look at all factors. Also, the social factors are very important. For the first time in history, for the first time, human race is actually really talking about equal human rights.
Yeah.
About equality of the law. Before that, it was just a topic of, let's say, in the history, there was classes of people. After that, there was a long time, up to a few years ago, that was just a nice subject on the table, women rights, men rights, and all of these things. Now, for the first time, we're talking about equality of the law. We're putting this under the projector lights. If the law is followed like it's supposed to be, for the poor and for the rich people? Are women really paid the same amount of salary if they are working the same position as the man? Is really like that or it's not like that? So we are really going in the, let's say, right direction. There are problems in the areas, don't get me wrong, really. But I think that all the aspects of the ECG needs to be taken under account in every field, and also in our minds, in our conversation between our friends. This is supposed to be our way of thinking.
Yeah.
Just respect the nature and respect whoever is next to you.
True.
That's it. Give him the benefit of a doubt.
So the next question that it's a very innovative one. It's about eco villages, and the learner has asked. It is built with renewable products or nature stone and faces. Also, social living. There are projects here in Turkey. So, does this qualify as sustainable living?
Yeah,
Or
it
this
does.
is, yeah.
It does. Yeah.
Oh.
There is, for example, if the village is built with green materials, if they use their renewable energy, and on these places you can also take account of the food and the water. We have an eco village here in Bulgaria that has nothing to do with property development, but I can tell you that, for example, from a food source, the water, the air over there, it is considered as part of sustainability. Not all the factors are taken care of, but listen, we need to start from somewhere. So whatever any individual can do, let's do it. Depending on what country you are, what is permitted, what you can afford, just do your best, do your part.
True. So Nina, these technologies that you spoke about, that there are various amount of sustainable technologies available which helps us in having sustainable living. So there's a question that has been asked, are there any negative impacts of these sustainable technologies that are available, and how does that impact the environment and the human race as such?
Well, the thing is the batteries.
Mm-hmm.
This is the negative part. In order to produce the batteries, we are destroying mountains of mountains. And so basically, this is something that probably we need to figure it out how to go. We have a recycle technologies that we are using for the batteries. I can tell you that it's not enough. We need to solve this problem. We can just not continue like that. But for the transition point of period, as a reasonable human being, yeah, it is the better solution than the one that was existing before. And yeah, we are recycling them. The technology is not that good yet. But listen, guys, we need to understand also that in some of for example, for some countries in the world, they are now developing charging of the batteries on the road. I mean, while you're driving, the asphalt is done in the way that you're charging your battery. But here I'm talking about recycling and producing of batteries, which is a problem, especially in that sector. It's a problem, especially now, today. I have, because of the projects that we are doing, I started to, from a marketing sense, to work very closely they're not producing cars here, but distributing cars that are electrical cars. And I can tell you that from 2024, now you will see every model of a car, it's going to come also in an electrical option.
Yeah.
So this means more batteries, more production of batteries. After that, I'm not sure how they're going to recycle it all and how it's going to be stored and what they're going to do. Let's see. Time will show. There are regulations also about that, by the way. It's not like they can do whatever they want. But this is something that it comes as an issue, and the future is going to come, as we know. So we need to think about it. And we need to solve it. But for example, from the solar panels, if we're using it without a battery, you can use it only during the day while it's sun.
And
At
also
night,
in a
without a
place
battery, you
where
cannot.
also in a place that has abundant sunlight. It can't be used in a place
Absolutely.
where the
Absolutely.
sunlight is not available in adequate manner. Moving on to my next question, Nina. The next question talks about we have spoken so much about sustainable living and how exactly sustainability can be incorporated in our home, basically. But what is your point of view on roadways construction? Can we include sustainability factor in that as well?
Actually, we are. As I mentioned before, we are now using, in some countries, they started to use asphalt on some of the highways that while you're driving, you're charging your car. This is
Yeah.
a sustainability aspect, very well taken care of. So, plus, again, a commodity, guys. You don't need to stop to charge your car. You
Yeah.
are actually improving your way of living. But to tell you the truth, at this moment, as a property developer, I'm not sure that for the new cars that are producing and the mileage that they can go and the speed that they can go, there is a material that can be used beside the ones that we are using.
Yeah.
It is an issue. It is. It's really an issue.
Correct. Uh, the next question is, Ninad, technology is important for sustainable development, but can it contribute to making more people employed as more and more jobs are automated?
Uh, you know, history shows there was always fears when something new comes out that, something will be lost.
Yeah.
People are just afraid of change. But my experience actually, and the history, leave my experience aside, shows that when one door opens, another window, when one door closes, another window opens. So basically, now people are afraid because of the artificial intelligence that it's going to reduce jobs. It's not like that. When something goes down, something new opens. Now there are people, for example, that are dealing with and there are courses, new ones. You have it in Uni Athena for using the artificial intelligence in your benefit.
Yeah.
We in my company especially, we are very limited in using the artificial intelligence, the chat bots and all of these things, because for us it's very important the personal connection to the
Yes.
client. We are selling a dream, we are selling a home, so this can be transmitted and taken care of only by another human being at this point of time.
But is there any role of AI in the real estate sector? Like,
Yeah, of course. Most of the machines now are automated, and now the sector is actually working pretty much on this AI in order for this to be incorporated into the machines and to be even more self-sustained. We are just looking to see where it is going to go. But I can tell you like this: you cannot still take out the human out of the factor out of the machine. But let me tell you like this: I personally believe that there will be time in the future. I don't know if we are going to be alive to see it, but in the future, when there is going to be two jobs only, there's going to be people that are going to do programming and another people that are going to fix the computers. This is the two jobs that are going to exist. There is not going to be another one.
true,
But
true.
still, you have the computer, you give the service, you're getting paid for it. So in the end, we're just going to live better.
But I would like to contradict a bit on it, because I always feel that you will always need one person to switch on that system. So
Exactly.
so
Exactly.
so you can never rule out the human aspect out of the
No.
capital.
We will always find a way to need each other. It's not
Exactly.
going to be in a
Exactly.
different way. We are fighting as a human race, like, to separate from the group and the herd, but we still love living in big cities. So,
That's
yeah.
fair. The next question, and I think this will be the last question for the session, is from Kabul Ninad. And the questioner is asking that we are faced with a huge amount of waste, especially plastic waste, due to the lack of a proper waste management system. The government and the municipality does not have not been successful in urban management. How do we as a young person manage sustainable waste removal and green environment projects? A very valid question, I believe.
Yeah, I also believe that it's a very valid question. There are still countries in the world like that,
Yeah.
really. Unfortunately, what I can tell you is my personal opinion, and this will change. This will change in every corner of the land. Now there are countries that are better at this, some countries that are not that good, but this will change. In the future, there will be no country that is just going to tolerate this, because the people are not going to tolerate this. whatever pressure you can do to your government, just do it. Talk to people, change this kind of way of thinking. I personally, guys, I don't want to sound. Okay, never mind. When I go on the street, when on a park, and when I see a bottle on it, I just pick it up and throw it in the trash. It doesn't cost me nothing. My pride and my crown is still on my head. I don't have a problem with that. Personal example is always the best, and we need to use our voices to speak out loud. We need to make pressure in order for these things to change. And I'm telling you, really, I saw it also in my country. I'm not from West Europe, I'm from East Europe. It's a completely different world here. In the next couple of years, all of these things with the waste just changed by itself. They just changed. People just started to think differently. That's it. They changed.
I think it's the following the notion to practice before you preach. I think
Exactly.
by that, I think that'll bring in, that'll change things into wonders. So with that, we come to the conclusion of our session. And I am really very sorry I couldn't take in a lot of questions in the Q&A chat box. There were many questions surrounding on the aspects of why sustainability is important, how exactly can be incorporated in many of the South Asian countries where the kind of living is totally different from that of the Western part of the world. So there are a lot of the questions cropping in, and I guess, Ninad, if this discussion has to go on, it'll be a never-ending discussion altogether, and the questions will keep on cropping in. But thank you so much for taking out time and for having this very enlightening discussion, which has brought us into the light of what is the current scenario of sustainable living in the real estate industry as such, and also why sustainability in how exactly living sustainability is important as a human as well. So thank you so much for taking time out for this wonderful session.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. I wish everybody the best. Bye.
Thank you so much.